these retired coal miners and their pensions. Without any further ado, I'm going to introduce you to the President of the United Mine Workers of America, Cecil Roberts.
So I'm not the main event today. We have members of Congress here. What we would like to do, we understand that we have senators here that need to get back for a vote, and we're going to extend the courtesy to them to let them go first if no one objects to that. And with that, I would ask for the senator from West Virginia, Joe Manchin, to be first.
Thank you, Cecil.
Thank you.
First, I wish we weren't standing here today because this should have been done over a year ago. We've got the health care done. It's a bipartisan effort, all of us, Democrats and Republicans, working together to bring fairness to a system where people have worked hard and paid for it, just making sure they get what they've earned. And to put them on the block that we are right now, less than $600 is the average pension that a miner gets or a widower gets. And this means the difference of what kind of a quality of life they have. So we need your help. We need everyone to talk to Mitch McConnell. Put it on the table, Mitch. Let us vote. This thing is ready to go. It's been ready to go for a long time. We've had pay-fors. We're using AML money, basically coal money. So what we're asking for is the thing to be done that's right for the coal miners who provide the energy that built the greatest country on earth. The superpower of the world is here because of the coal miners standing behind me. And we're all benefited from this. So no matter what part of the country you're from, you should get on your knees every night and say a prayer for a coal miner. But also protecting retirements all across. We have an awful lot of retirement programs in trouble right now. And we're all united and working together. Sherrod Brown couldn't be here today. He's in another committee meeting right now. He's been fighting for us. Richie Neal has been working with us. A lot of good people. We've got our Republicans friends here, my co-worker, my colleague. Shelley is here. Portman's here. We have an awful lot of good people that really want this done, and we're going to work together until it's done. We're not giving up. You don't give up. And if it wasn't for you all coming out, we wouldn't be as far as we are right now. You make a difference in putting a real face, a real life, a real family, basically in front of the legislators that have to work and be held accountable. So continue to do what you're doing. Don't give up. We haven't given up, and we won't shut up either. Okay? Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. This has bipartisan support throughout the United States Congress. And one of the Republicans who's been a leader in this from our state of West Virginia, Senator Capito, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Cecil. Thank you, Cecil, and thank all of you for being here. David and Joe from West Virginia, and my fellow Senator Rob Portman from Ohio, and members from all across the country. But mostly to the people who have who this is going to most directly benefit. I just had a phone call just the other day with a woman from Nicholas County who told me that her husband worked in the mines 35 years. She's worried every single day that this is not going to continue for their family. Her husband's having some health issues, and just the angst in her voice is enough to have me here just to redouble our efforts. We're working together. We're working bipartisan. We're working Mitch McConnell and others. And but, you know, time is drawing near. We know that the time certain of when this is going to become very devastating to our miners is really creeping up on us. So I want to thank all the miners that come to my office and talk to me every day under Cecil's leadership. It's been a phenomenal effort. Now's not the time to stop. I will not stop. We will not stop until we get the right result for you all who've worked so hard, paid into your pensions, get what you deserve, and that's a pretty simple thing to ask for, in my view. Thank you all very much.
And we've been fortunate to have someone on our side from the state of Ohio, another Republican senator, Senator Portman. Would you like to say a few words?
Thanks, Cecil. So, thank you. We've been mining coal in Ohio since before Ohio was a state. In fact, I think Cecil's great-great-great-grandfather was in one of those mines in Ohio. You know, this is just a matter of fairness. We've got about 100,000 retired coal miners, including a number of these guys you see behind you. You actually can't see them because they're in camo, but they're back there. You know, they not only worked hard and played by the rules, they were in a really dangerous profession. And what they did was power America. And they were given a promise. And it was a promise that when they retired, that they would get a benefit under their pension. And it's a modest benefit. It's actually one of the more modest benefits of any of the multi-employer plans that we're trying to help save. Now, some people say, well, you just can't get this done in Washington because the place is broken. We just got health care done. That's right. So we've had some success, haven't we? We know what success feels like. We can get it done. We're not asking for a lot because we have a bill, the Miners Pension Protection Act, I'm a proud sponsor of, that actually is paid for. And we have the opportunity on a bipartisan basis to do something really important to these miners. And again, a very modest benefit. If we don't do something, about 100,000 miners are going to lose about 20% of their benefit right away. And then, frankly, what's going to happen is the PBGC might go under, which is the larger government insurance program. That means about 90% of the benefit goes away. We can't let that happen. It's part of a broader issue that Joe mentioned, Shelley mentioned, which is to help all of our multi-employer pension plans. But let's help the miners. They've done what we asked them to do. They've taken on dangerous jobs with a modest promise. Let's be sure that promise is fulfilled.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have a group with us who represents retired Americans from all over the country. My friend Bob Roach is here today from the Alliance of Retired Americans. Give them a round of applause. And continue our bipartisan approach to this. There's been a leader in the House of Representatives, a Republican from West Virginia, who has fought like tooth and nails for us. David McKinley.
And thank you, Cecil. Listen, I don't know whether y'all have had a chance to see this ad that's been running in the paper this morning. This is very important to get this message out because I think it's a part of the education process. Make people aware of the consequences if we don't take action with it. This Joe said, and Shelley and all of them, this just didn't happen overnight. This thing's been going on for decades on it, but let's make it clear. The UMWA did not cause this problem with their pension fund. This was a lot caused by overregulation here at the federal government, shutting down coal mines all across this country. That's in part what's this. So I guess I'm trying to do is liken it somehow so the American public can understand. This is kind of like when you're driving down your car and you look on your dashboard and you see that warning light come on. And you know, when that warning light comes on, something bad's going to happen if you don't do something. Well, that's exactly what's happened here. This warning light came on years ago. And for this glacial pace that we work here in Washington, nothing has been accomplished. All they want, there's a lot of talk on it. But on one party will say, we got to have it all paid for before we can act on it. And on the other side, we see other people on the other side of the aisle, they're saying, well, we got to have a comprehensive solution to it. That would be great to have that, but that's just, to me, a smokescreen why we're not getting things done. Why don't we do the one that's paid for? This is one, there's a dedicated cash stream that we can take care of the UMWA. But for those people that we're talking about, you just heard Portman talk about the Federal Pension Guarantee Fund. Here's the letter from the Pension Guarantee Fund said that we have in our files. Says, don't do this to us. Because if you dump all these 100,000 coal miners over on the Pension Guarantee Fund, we go bankrupt. Within 1 to 3 years, they go under. So that's not the solution. The solution is to break it out separately, pay for it, and then we'll continue this fight for the other multi-employer pension funds with it. Because if the problem here is that warning light's still on. It's getting brighter. It's flashing at us now. We've got to do something before this thing happened. But just keep in mind, too, what was just said. There was a promise made. Under Harry Truman, made a promise in the White House. Promises made need to be promises kept. And I think we ought to stand on that, okay? So, thank you. God bless all of you.
We have a family here that has been an inspiration to everybody. They're from the Midwest. It's the Leech family. They've made all of our rallies. They've gone to lobby with us, and they've gone to jail with us. And would you give the Leech family a round of applause? We even have people supporting us who don't have a lump of coal in their state. And I would like to bring our friend Peter Welch from Vermont up to the mic and say a few words.
Cecil, it's true. And by the way, Portman said your great-great-great-grandfather, I think it might have been you in the coal mine. But Cecil's right. We don't have coal in Vermont. But I'll tell you what we have. We have electricity. Yeah. We have electricity. And you guys, you men and women, you kept the lights on in our barns. There you go. You kept the lights on in our schools. Yep. You kept us warm in the winter. And I went down with Dave McKinley to how you did that. And I'm not sure I can go again. That is a hard job. But you know, all of us have benefited by the hard work of coal miners in this country. All of us. And the coal miners did what was asked of them that benefited us. They were promised and gave up wage gains to get health care and to get retirement security. And now you're getting stiffed on the retirement security part. We all know that's wrong. A promise made is a promise kept. A promise made is a promise kept. All America has to stand behind the men and women who kept the lights on in Vermont, in Oklahoma, in West Virginia, in Texas, in North and South Dakota, all across this country. We're all in it together, and each of us here is going to fight to make certain that that retirement security that you earned, you get. Thank you. Thank you.
Now we're going to move back to the coal fields of Illinois, and we'd like to invite Rodney Davis, a representative from Illinois.
Thank you, Cecil. Thank you. You know, I'm really humbled to be joined by our senators today and the true leader in the House on making sure we get good legislation across the floor, my good friend David McKinley and my friends Terri Sewell, Peter Welch in the House. But I got to tell you, as much as we here in Washington want to fix this problem here, it's personal to me because of the constituents I represent back home in central Illinois. I wouldn't be standing here in Washington today as a member of Congress without seeing the effect of words on pieces of paper changing here in Washington, D.C., and affecting our ability to have good paying jobs in our district. In the early 90s, Peabody Mine Number 10, our largest employer in my home county, in Christian County, Illinois, shut down because of changes to the Clean Air Act here in Washington, D.C. I have a lot of UMWA retirees that worked at that mine that could be affected by this tragedy if we don't fix it. We have mines operational in my district now, but many people talked about promises being made and promises being kept. When I ran for this office, I made a promise to the miners who are retired, who live in my district, that we would fix this retirement issue and we would fix the health care issue. Well, Cecil, we're batting 500 right now. How about we all keep pushing and keep fighting, and let's bat 1,000 real quick. Yeah. Thank you.
Many of us who've been in this fight since 2012 have been all over the country. We've been to Indiana and Illinois. We spent a lot of time in St. Louis getting arrested and going to jail. We spent a lot of time up here on Capitol Hill, but one of the early bankruptcies was in Alabama, and I had the pleasure of being with the next speaker, Terri Sewell, a congresswoman from Alabama who stood with us at that rally and been standing with us ever since. Terri?
Thank you so much, Cecil. Thank you. Alabama in the house. Woo! We love our coal miners in Alabama, and I stand with you like I did early on. I will stand with you until we complete our promise to the coal miners. We, the federal government, must do our part because you've already done your part. That's right. You've already done your part. We all have a role to play, and in Alabama, it's just getting worse. I heard that there were 2 lawsuits that were filed by federal prosecutors for 2 coal mines in Alabama for over 2,000 health violations going on in Alabama. We have to do better. And we have to honor the retirement security that you have earned. And I am pleased today to stand in a bipartisan manner with my colleagues on the House and the Senate to say we will honor that promise because we know it's the right thing to do. So we stand with you in Alabama, we stand with you in West Virginia, we stand with you in Kentucky, we stand with all of you because it's the right thing to do. And we will keep on pressing. All right.
Not only is this a bipartisan effort, but this is a cross our unions in the AFL-CIO effort. We're seeing something fairly unusual here today on Capitol Hill. We have flight attendants lobbying with coal miners to pass legislation to protect coal miners' pensions and health care. And with us today, we have one of the most dynamic speakers and leaders in our movement, the woman who made the motion at the AFL-CIO in 2017 to make pensions of coal miners and their health care the #1 priority of the labor movement. And that is Sara Nelson from AFA.
So flight attendants are here with our miners to make sure that miners' health care and pensions are preserved. They earned this. And we're also here because we fly to every community in this country. And we see what happens when those communities are devastated because promises are not kept, because big banks are bailed out, but the people who didn't cause the collapse of the economy are not bailed out. The coal miners behind us earned these pensions. They went underground, they risked their lives, they negotiated for these pensions, they gave up pay, they gave up other benefits in their contracts so that they could earn these pensions. And when they come out, those who come out and didn't lose their life underground don't get out unscathed. They come out with black lung and emphysema. And paying the debt to our nation's miners is what this is about. We powered this country, we built this country because they risked their lives underground, and we leave no one behind in this country. And flight attendants are going to be here every single day until we get this done. But let me tell you something, this is not hard. As you have heard passionate pleas here from Democrats and from Republicans. And so all we have to do is spend 5 minutes to get this to a vote for our nation's miners to secure their pensions, $500 on average a month that they earned. That is necessary to make sure that we don't have one more miner die. We've had over 30,000 miners die since this fight started. Not one more miner die worrying that he won't be able to keep his home, that he won't be able to provide for his family or her family. 5 minutes. Mitch McConnell, schedule the vote.
I would like to mention my sidekick, my partner, who, by the way, is only 37 years old. I think he's going to be around longer than me. Levi Allen. I would like to take a moment to thank all of the flight attendants who came here with us today. I want to thank all of the coal miners who've been here repeatedly asking their government to act to protect something they've earned, and were promised by this government in 1946. I want to just explain briefly how we got here. But before I do that, I want to make something else clear. We just left the Speaker's office. I want you to know Speaker Pelosi has been and is today ready to act to protect the pensions of United Mine Workers members. I have no doubt, with the bipartisan support that we enjoy in the House of Representatives, that this will pass if taken to a vote in the House. And I think that's exactly what should happen here. And then I think the United States Senate should look at this situation and ask themselves only one thing. What's the right thing to do? So let me tell you how we got here. In 2007, this pension plan was fully funded. In 2008, the recession came our way. And I want you to know something. Not a single coal miner in this nation had anything to do with that recession. And if you believe they did, stand up and tell me how. They were underground producing coal to generate electricity so this nation could thrive. But because of the recession, $2 billion was lost out of that pension plan. What happened next? All of those who did cause the recession, that did cost $2 billion out of that pension plan, received trillions of dollars from this Congress, from this government, taking it out of coal miners' pockets and sending it to Wall Street. You didn't hear us say, oh, don't save the banks. People told us the banks, they're too big to fail. But what we need in America is a movement of working class folks who are too big to fail. So we didn't cause the problem. We didn't get any of the money that you sent to Wall Street. You bailed them out. What about the people who work for a living in America? What about the people who've given their health to America, their lives to America? How about them for a change? The next thing that's happened to us, because of the recession, $4 billion in withdrawal liability has been forgiven by the bankruptcy judges. Working folks have been on this hill for 30 years asking for bankruptcy reform, and we've never gotten it. $2 billion because of the recession. $4 billion lost in bankruptcy. And I want you to know, not a single coal miner wrote those bankruptcy laws. Not a one of us had anything to do with these companies going into bankruptcy. And by the by, every bankruptcy, the CEOs, they get bonuses because they ran the company into bankruptcy. Then they get more money because they stayed to run the company that they ran into bankruptcy. And today, they are still sitting on the throne, leading their companies and getting millions of dollars. While we're up here saying all we want is what we earned and what we want is what we were promised. It is time for Congress to act. We started coming up here 7 years ago, and I've watched 30,000 of our pensioners pass away. Yes, Congress passed health care to protect them, but they died worrying about the next house payment, the next car payment, the next grocery bill. You should not treat any worker in America like that. So now, as the old labor song goes, which side are you on? Which side are you on, Congress? Which side are you on? I'll take any questions the press had, and I might need some help with my friends here. So I'm ready. We have people just left his office. We have people here from Kentucky, West Virginia, Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Alabama, the Midwest. We've made the rounds today, and we're going to continue throughout the day. This isn't our first trip here, by the way. There isn't a single member of the United States Congress can look anybody in the eye and say they haven't had the opportunity to meet a coal miner and hear from a coal miner. And they know exactly how this happened. They know it wasn't the fault of the coal miners, nor the fault of their union. It was the fault of bad decisions on Wall Street to start with and horrible bankruptcy laws. Anybody else? Going once, twice. Thank you for coming today. Yes, Coal Miners Political Action Committee. Thank you.
Rich out here too, man. We got people with shirts. We got people out here that are small. We love you, brother. Thank you. I know we saw it. It was great. It was great.
Oh, sweetheart.
We got some more people here with you, 100%. 100%. I know you, man. There. You've been there. There are people that do that.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going? I'm Albert.
Albert, nice to see you.
Yes. Okay, your life. So, can you tell us a little bit what's in it for the flight attendants?
Do you want me to hold this or you got it?
I can.
Okay, great. Yeah, so what's in it for the flight attendants is that we fly to every community in this country. We know what happens when a community is devastated. Guess what? We stop flying there. We cut back service. This has a direct impact on our jobs. But beyond that, you have United flight attendants here. You have former U.S. Airways flight attendants here. You've got flight attendants from across the industry, from Delta. And we all know what it's like to lose our pensions. And what we have been told for the last 30 years in this country is that you should be lucky to have a job. And if somebody has something that you don't have, you should pull them down instead of pulling yourself up. And we are not going to fall for that because that kind of rhetoric is what's gotten us to where we are today, where we're in a total stalemate of getting anything done in this country, where we believe that walls have already been built because we've been led to believe that we're divided, and we're not going to take part in that. So we have been saying for the past several years that this is a top priority for us to secure the mine workers' pensions, because this also matters to our future retirement security. Every single American in this country should care about this. If the mine workers' pensions collapse, never mind the fact that it is a moral imperative for us to protect them, but if the mine workers' pensions collapse, the PBGC collapses, which collapses the rest of the retirement funds, which has an impact on Wall Street that will be much like the housing collapse. And guess what happens to everyone's 401k then? This is something that matters to all of us. And so we're up here because we know it matters to all of us, but we're also up here because in our union we have a saying. It doesn't matter if you've been here for 5 minutes or 40 years. You're a member of our union and your union stands with you. The mine workers built the labor movement, made it possible, inspired us to form our union in 1946, and we're going to stick with them now to show this country that working people stand together and we leave no one behind.
Do you think the new Congress is more helpful
Look, this issue could have been solved within the past 6 years. There has been bipartisan support. It doesn't matter which house is red and which house is blue. As Cecil said, when they look a miner in the eye, not one of them on this Hill can say, I'm not going to keep my promise to you, the promise that this federal government made to our miners to go underground, power our country, and then protect your retirement security and your health care. That was actually a promise not just made by the companies, not just negotiated in those union contracts where they gave up other pay to get that, but this country, our federal government promised that to our miners. So this has been an issue that if it had gotten to a vote in the past 6 years would have passed. The person holding this up before and now is Mitch McConnell. All that needs to happen is for Mitch McConnell to say, I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to protect the miners in Kentucky in my own state and bring this to a vote and let everybody vote, because Republicans, Democrats all over this country support passing this act to protect our miners' pensions.
How can people get involved?
People can get involved by calling the Capitol Switchboard and telling members of the Senate to co-sponsor S-27, that's the American Miners Act, and to co-sponsor H.R. 935 and 934 in the House. Those two together equal the bill in the Senate, S-27. So it's 935, 934. Call the Capitol Switchboard. Get this done.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, that's